Salute, salute. Salute to God, the Most High, the creator of everything. Salute to all my day ones. Salute to the independent viewers. If you're just not coming in and stumbling across my little itty bitty little local platform, as you come in, wipe your feet all over the Uncut welcome mat, hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, share these videos. Definitely share the experience. Trolls. Only God and your mama can love you. Last but certainly not least, y'all know what time it is. One time, and I'm sorry if I don't sound too enthused. Y'all let's see what's going on. But one time, and that's for, the Uncut Squad to get the family. That's for my sister J Stars doing her thing, y'all. And we got to give it up to God, the Most High, the creator of everything. Come on, Gizmo, the author and finisher of our faith, you know. So two salutes to God. Come on, baby. You trying to mess with all my hair? Come on, Gizmo. Come on. Stop it, girl. Stop it. It's just a baby out of my guinea pigs, y'all. She's just a little reckless and ready to get back to her playpen with the others. Okay, y'all, breaking news. I don't even want to talk too much. Let's get into this. Fair use educational purposes.
Jury has just returned a verdict in the trial of Caysen Allison.
Yes, we just found out that Allison is guilty of a criminally negligent homicide in the stabbing death of his Belton High School classmate, Joe Ramirez, back in 2022. We want to send this straight over to 6 News reporter Sydney Walker. Sydney, we know you've been following this from the very beginning. First question I want to ask is, emotions in the courtroom, how were those?
Yeah, emotions were very high. That can be expected. It's been a long couple of days. Yesterday, we were here over 10 hours. 12 hours, probably the whole day from 9 a.m. if you're including that. Some people are tired. They were ready for a verdict. People ran into the courtroom as soon as we heard there was a verdict. People were running to the front to grab tissues. There was shaking. There was crying on both sides just out of anticipation. And once that verdict was read, there were sighs of relief, audible sighs of relief from Allison's side and tears and shaking from the side of Joe Ramirez. There's a lot of high emotions all around. So absolutely a very emotional case. I know some people, this was not the verdict they were hoping for. Others, they're just happy to have some sort of something against Allison. There's a lot of emotions in this case.
Okay, thank you, Sydney. Now, we do know, this verdict is kind of coming to us late. We have been waiting for almost, 2 days now. Do you have any idea what took so long?
Right. Well, so in this case, they had to first consider murder or self-defense or neither of those, then continue to go down into manslaughter or self-defense or neither of those. And then the last one was what he was charged with, criminally negligent homicide.
I don't understand how this wasn't murder. I don't understand how this was a crime of passion. When you willingly grab a knife, a jugum jug from your stepfather's collection, you go to school, you know you have a problem with this kid. The fight is planned. You're supposed to fight after school in a wooded area around 5:30 that day. You chose to expedite the time and, get it on in the restroom. Now the videos shows Joe Ramirez and his buddy going in first. Then minutes later, you see, you know, Caysen Allison walk in. How is it not the M charge when you done stab somebody all in the back, when you done jerk them all in the back, man, as they're trying to flee, man? How? How is this criminally negligent homicide? Do y'all see the double standard here in this country? Do you see the color barrier? And listen, I'm going to say if they did this to him, then Karmelo should walk free because that's definitely a self-defense. But they're going to give Karmelo hell and they're going to throw the book at that young brother just because he's black. Just because he is black. If there was ever a profound case, open and closed, to where you can prove the M word, it was definitely Caysen Allison. And he had already had a record. He had already been on house arrest. Even before this, the kid does not have a good background. Y'all tell me how. And they're saying what, 2 to 5 years or 2 to 10 or $10,000 fine for a life? For a life that is priceless? Can you imagine how Joe Ruiz's family feels right now? Oh, America loves the Spanish community, right? Then act like it. Why the Spanish community? Why this Spanish family got to go back home hurt and bitter, missing their loved one at the dinner table, and then this happens with Caysen Allison? You hid the case just to do this. Now they're polarizing Carmelo's case, and y'all watch what they attempt to do to him, y'all. Watch.
or not guilty on that. So there were a lot of layers to this. And in my opinion, I think that that is what ended up taking them so long, because they had to go through each charge, which takes time. They had to review all of the evidence, make sure that they were considering everything. They had the opportunity to review testimony from the court reporter. There was a lot that had to be discussed. And, we got back today. They might have just wanted to sleep on it last night. We got back today, and then we had a verdict by 10:45 a.m., not too long after we got here, about 2 hours-ish after we got here. So most of the discussions were occurring yesterday, but yeah, they had to go through quite a few charges to get to where we were today.
All right, thank you so much, Sydney. I want to point this out real quick while we still have our viewers. I know that a manslaughter charge carried up to a 2 to 20-year sentence. You mentioned how Ramirez's side was crying. Meanwhile, Allison's side was doing a sigh of relief, because we know that the charge that he was charged with is a lesser charge. It means that carelessness led to an act of death, which could mean up to 10 years in prison or no prison time.
Up to 10 years in prison or no prison time at all. And let's not forget that he's going to get time served. He's going to get time served. This is nuts, y'all. Now, this is the time for outrage. This is that double standard. This is that slap on the wrist we all talk about, y'all. This is why I defend Karmelo Anthony. This is why Austin should have kept his hands to himself. Right here. Right here. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Man.
And also, that's kind of why you're getting those reactions. I do want to ask, however, did you get to see Caysen Allison's face, and what was his face looking like whenever that verdict was read?
Well, in typical fashion, Allison was pretty quiet. He was standing up. The defense was standing up while they received the news from the jury. We didn't really hear or a peep from him, really get a reaction from him. It's kind of...
Wasn't there almost like what was the percentage of Spanish people we looked up in Frisco, Texas? I'm trying to see if they had any Spanish jurors in the jury box. I'm finding this very hard to believe that there were Hispanic or Latino jurors present in this case. I think America just pulled one. I think America just kind of whiteballed the way for Caysen Allison. This is ridiculous. If you guys go look up that case, if you look at the autopsy, if you look at where brother Jose / Joe Ramirez was juggy jugged, I mean, man, wow. Wow. And there was pre-existing history. There was malice. I'm not understanding how they arrived at this. I'm not understanding. 10 years? 10 years? Man, Carmelo better walk free.
Been that way throughout this whole case. He's been pretty stone-faced, pretty quiet, as well as his family side has been pretty quiet. But today we heard a rare sound from his side, sighs of relief after they heard their son would not be going.
If you jug somebody 4 times and you get criminal negligence homicide, then if you jug somebody 1 time, they can prove it was self-defense, although they're trying to say Carmelo provoked it, then Carmelo should really walk free. He should walk free. This should be a cakewalk, a walk in the park. This is ridiculous.
Going to jail for life in prison at least, but we still don't know. That sentencing is not going to be until July, so we have some time until we figure that out.
And just another question for you, Sydney. The jury, talk about their emotions. Were you able to read any of their expressions on their face, or how were they doing?
Were there any Spanish people, Latino people, Hispanic, Guatemalan, Honduran, anyone in that juror box? Anyone who had children who looked like Joe Ramirez? Can someone answer that?
On the trial and today.
Well, I've been here since jury selection, and I have to say I think they did a pretty good job picking the jury, because I have not been able to read anything on their faces this whole time. It's pretty split evenly gender-wise. It's a pretty diverse group. They're very quiet. You can tell that they're paying attention. They're taking notes the whole time. The foreperson really didn't have much expression whenever handing the verdict to the.
And all she said is pretty diverse. Pretty diverse. She's not going into the demographic of people. It's pretty diverse. They know what they're doing. You have to watch how they articulate things, they wordplay.
To the deputy to hand to the judge. So, I mean, they did a pretty good job picking a jury because we want them to be pretty unbiased, focusing on the facts, and I think that that's what they did because we really couldn't read much emotion from them as well.
Sydney, you've been following this story from the beginning. We know that there was about 100 plus people who were requested to be jurors who were summoned for this. However, for this, I believe it was 12 jurors who ended up coming out of this. So that was part of the decision and the questioning that you were there for as well. And now we're getting the verdict of this.
Absolutely. And speaking of the jury, you sat in there. The judge or the jury will decide that sentencing in July.
Yes, that will be the judge. So that was actually up to Allison and the defense team. In this case, they had the option to have the sentencing done by the judge or the jury.
If this case is any reflection or has any reflection on a Karmelo case, they're going to cook this brother just because his skin is melanated. It's easy to say Caysen Anthony just got pacified and got off because of the color of his skin. And I don't pull this card a lot, but I've been studying this case. And that is definitely what it is. And I stand 10 toes down on everything I just said. I don't care who likes it. I don't care who doesn't like it. You know, right is right, wrong is wrong. They're going to try to cook Karmelo just based on his skin color. This is ridiculous. You can judge somebody 4 times and it's criminal negligent homicide. You judge somebody 1 time, but that 1 time is fatally in the heart and they bleed out and they pass away. And the whole world paints you to be a monster from birth. From birth. When Caysen Anthony's record was far more extensive than Karmelo's. Are we kidding right now? These are the same rules that they have, the same statutes, same policies, same laws that they have to go over in the Karmelo Anthony case when it's that trial time. This happened in the same state. These places are maybe 2 hours away from each other, if that. If that. If that. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. That's why they hid it from the public view. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it. No one's really familiar with the case, so no one's going to go into an outrage. But I support the Ramirez family. You know, come on, man. At what point do anyone in this country get justice who's melanated? With the exception of OJ. And y'all still deem him guilty, but that's just 1 out of a million.
Allison elected for it to be done by the judge. We won't find that out. They said for 6 to 8 weeks, but we heard earlier it will be in July.
All right, thank you so much, Sydney. One more time, if you could tell us what that verdict was for those people who are just now joining us here on 6 Plus.
Yes, so in the murder trial of Caysen Anthony, Allison was found not guilty of murder, not guilty of manslaughter, but guilty of criminally negligent homicide by the jury just about 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago. This is breaking news. We just found out.
Yeah, and I do want to point out that 6 News was first to bring you this breaking news on air. Sydney Walker was there to take us through it all. And I do want to mention once again that criminally negligent homicide could mean up to 10 years in prison or no prison time at all. Now, Sydney,
Do y'all hear this nonsense? You can judge somebody 4 times and be non-black and only get about 10 years, if no prison time at all. But if you judge somebody once out of self-defense and you're black, they're trying to shut down your GoFundMes. They're trying to walk all into your interviews. They're trying to slander you. They're going to only show pictures of you in your mugshot. They're going to ask, how did you get this jug on school property? When this man here was not even charged with bringing this jug to school, y'all. He was not even charged. Do y'all understand how many more charges Caysen Anthony should have had? Just based on the crime alone, do y'all understand how many more charges that he was supposed to have? I guarantee they add more charges to Karmelo Anthony. I hope they don't, but I know this justice system very well, and I guarantee they do. And I'm pissed right now.
I want to ask, since you are there, are you getting the feeling of the mood of if there's going to be any news conferences, if we're going to hear from the defense or maybe the prosecution, maybe
The family.
Joe Ramirez's family as well? Because, I mean, they've been waiting for this. I mean, I've seen her mom comment on my Facebook several times talking about, I'm waiting for this
Right.
final verdict.
Yes, this has been a long-awaited, highly anticipated trial, and I know people have been talking, so we're going to try our best to hear from some of the family members, and I know that there is a chance we'll hear from the defense or the state, but that sentencing hasn't been done yet.
I can't listen to this no more, man. There's definitely a double standard. This was racially engineered. Caysen Anthony was pacified because of the color of his skin. He got a slap on the wrist. They took it light on him. That brother should have had a lot more extensive charges. Lots more extensive charges. And just when I thought that we had reshaped and redefined the race barrier here in this country, here goes America proving me wrong again. Proving me wrong again, ladies and gentlemen. I have no understanding for this. I'm very upset. I'm gonna let this go, and I got to pray heavy for Brother Karmelo because we are about to see some bullshit take place. If this is what we got from Caysen Anthony, who acted as Zorro, Wolverine, Chucky, who acted as Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, if this is all he got, and he did this repeatedly with a criminal history, man, if Carmelo don't come home, man, I think we need to get some change in this country, however we can get it. However we can get it, man. This is just imagine if this was your child, man. Race shouldn't even matter. The ethnicity of the victim should not matter. But it does. And the ethnicity of the perpetrator should not matter in this country. But it does. But it does. So when they say these laws and these constitutions weren't written for black people and minorities, I think America just proved us right with this verdict right here alone. With this verdict right here alone, man. Y'all get your one-on-one. Get your one-on-one. Get your one-on-one with your higher power, man. I'm living, man. Y'all stay prayed up, stay blessed up, stay meditated up, stay protected, stay real, stay conscious, stay uncut, be inspired, be great, be you. And if you're melanated in this country, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. And I think you all know why I'm telling you this. This country will damn us. And this country will pacify everyone else who is non-black, who looks just like the woman you're seeing on the screen. And I'm not saying she's racist, but there's something racist about this American criminal justice system. All right? There's something about maybe white people crying tears that just breaks people down. But there's nothing about innocent black people. I'm not even going to go into this, man. I'm not going to let this change my mood. This should be right and wrong, and this is definitely wrong. And with that, man, just God bless and Godspeed, man. My condolences and my regards and my apologies to the Ramirez family, man. That's all I can say, man. Ashe, ladies and gentlemen.